Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to Q2B. It's always great to be back in Tokyo to see our friends and colleagues. And I know I'm the last talk, like Paul said, and thank you for an introduction, Paul. So I'll try to keep this very short, but first I'd like to start by giving yourselves a big round of applause for making it to the end of the first day of Q2B. So congratulations to you. I hope you're getting a lot out of the conference. So I'll keep my comments short and we can go to the networking area and start with some drinks and meet some new friends and business partners. So I'm going to talk about the last few things we've announced over the last 6 months. So first of all, for those of you that might not be familiar with Ware, we concentrate in 3 areas. So we do professional services engagements, we build software, and we help build the quantum technologies community by organizing these Q2B events. So I'll talk about all these 3 things in turn. So I'll start with professional services. So what we typically do when we do professional services engagements is that we help very large corporations understand how quantum computing will impact them. And then we develop typically new algorithms for these use cases. And we help them understand what will be the impact for that specific use case. And what the companies get out of this is knowledge. Sometimes it's new intellectual property, and sometimes it's new patents. And they're secure, the companies are secure in knowing that they won't be blindsided, they won't be surprised by a competitor using quantum computing technologies to put a new product or to create a new market. So they're secure, they're ensured that quantum computing is not something that is going to surprise them, basically. So that's what they get out of it. So I'll start with what we've announced back in December of 2022 and work my way towards today. So back in December of 22, we announced our second collaboration with one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, Ross Pharmaceuticals. We released a second paper with them that concentrates on biomedical image classification. Specifically, we built a new quantum neural network called a quantum vision transformer. And we use that new neural network to analyze retina images of the eye, and detect whether that patient that had that image in their eye has diabetes and what type of diabetes they have. And what's interesting about this work is that the quantum neural network is actually much, much smaller than the equivalent classical neural network. So we had 2 neural networks that had essentially the same performance, but the quantum version was actually much, much smaller than the classical version. And we actually showcased this work on IBM hardware. All of these results that I'm going to show, the papers are on our website. So if you go to qcware.com/research, you can find the papers and the announcements there. So in March, we announced our collaboration with another major pharmaceutical company, AstraZeneca. In this case, we helped them do clinical data imputation. By imputation, we mean generating data that is missing. So when patients start a clinical trial, they have to follow several steps. And sometimes that patient, for whatever reason, stops following these specific steps that they have to complete. So then there is a lot of missing data. So instead of throwing this partial data set away, AstraZeneca wanted to use this data set, and they wanted to use it in a consistent way and in a way that's approved by regulators. So we helped them, again, with the help of a quantum neural network, we helped them essentially create, fill in the missing data. And that's what imputation means. And what's interesting about this work, again, the paper was released in March. What's interesting about this work is that we can apply the full power of the quantum computer, and we can get the full benefits of the quantum computing algorithm once we have large quantum computers. But there is a smaller version of that algorithm that we can apply today on GPUs. So you can get some of the benefits even today using GPUs and in the classical computational pipeline for classical data scientists. We announced in April our continuing collaboration with Aishin. We've talked about how we work with Aishin for many, many years. And in April, Aishin put out a press release of how we're working together to execute vehicle routing to solve supply chain optimization problems. So over the years, we've experimented with different types of solutions for these supply chain problems. We've shown how you can solve these problems with quantum annealing, and also how to apply methods like quantum reinforcement learning to solve these supply chain optimization problems. We have several papers that we've released over the years, and this is a continuing and ongoing collaboration. So please watch out for further announcements in the future. In May, we announced our collaboration with another very large pharmaceutical company, Boehringer Ingelheim, and one of the quantum computing vendors that I'm sure you'll find some representatives of PsiQuantum here. PsiQuantum is building a fault-tolerant quantum computer, and we work together with them and Boehringer Ingelheim. And what we actually went after is sort of the holy grail in pharmaceuticals. It's basically drug discovery. Specifically, we looked at exactly how the pharmaceutical, the proposed molecule of the drug, binds into the protein that it's targeting. So this is a very important quantity that pharmaceutical companies want to measure as they develop new drugs. And we developed a new algorithm called symmetry-adapted perturbation theory, or more accurately, I should say that we took the classical version of symmetry-adapted perturbation theory, and we made sure that we can execute it on the quantum computer and on a fault-tolerant quantum computer much more efficiently and with more capabilities. Again, the paper is on the website. Please come and talk to the team also at the booth if you want more details about all of these use cases, or go to the website to see the paper. In May, again, we had a flurry of new announcements. We announced how we work with one of the largest investment banks in the world, JP Chase, and we help them devise new trading strategies for their portfolios. Actually, JP Chase innovated and had already been using classical reinforcement learning techniques to devise some trading strategies. And so we came in and we looked at how the quantum computer can be used to do quantum reinforcement learning for these trading strategies. And actually, what was interesting about this work, again, is that we can apply the full quantum algorithm on quantum computers of today and more efficiently on quantum computers of tomorrow. But we can take another version of these algorithms and apply them on GPUs today and get some benefits today. So this is a recurring theme, as you see, in some of the work that we're doing lately. Another announcement in May, this was the release of a paper, our first paper with Itaú Unibanco. Itaú Unibanco is the largest Latin American bank. And in this paper, we talked about how we use quantum neural networks for credit risk modeling. So credit risk modeling takes place every time that you go to a bank and you say, I need a loan. The bank has to determine how much of a risk you are for them to give you money. Again, the improvement here and the benefit of using quantum computing in this case is that the quantum neural network actually has far fewer parameters. In fact, 87.5 fewer parameters than the classical neural network that achieves the same accuracy. In this case, we use IBM hardware to demonstrate the results. We're continuing our long-time collaboration with Airbus through this new use case that has to do with maritime anomaly detection. So in this case, the images are taken from the satellite. They're images of vessels in the sea. And the objective is to detect anomalies in these images. And what we demonstrated in this work is that we can detect previously undetected anomalies using, again, quantum neural networks to do image classification. So this is a first pilot study. We haven't put out a paper just yet, but it's a first pilot study for longer-term collaboration. So please watch out for further announcements in the future. Just last week, we were very happy to hear from Wellcome Leap Foundation. So the Wellcome Leap Foundation is a big foundation that funds several different objectives in many different life sciences areas. One of these funds is dedicated towards funding proposals that use quantum technologies to impact life sciences. So about 6 months ago, Ware, together with 2 other partners, Ross Pharmaceuticals and a professor from Harvard Medical School who has a joint appointment with the Massachusetts General Hospital, came together. We built a proposal and we submitted it to the Wellcome Leap Foundation. And last week, the results came in, and we were one of the selected teams, one of the teams that will be funded by the Wellcome Leap Foundation. So we're very happy to hear these news just last week. And the specific proposal, also, it's a very common theme in our machine learning work. It's basically looking at images that come from a magnetic resonance image, right? So MRI. But actually, the MRI images in this case and the MRI machines in this case are enhanced with quantum sensors, and we're going to be analyzing them through quantum neural networks. So it's basically a combination of quantum sensing and quantum computing. Now, actually, none of this work has been put out there yet. We haven't started the work, but we got the results and we got approval to share the results with you. So I wanted to share this with you. And actually today, for the very first time, I'm going to talk about this new work we're doing with a large automotive OEM. So we're continuing our work with BMW. Again, it's a new use case. It's figuring out the results of a 3D printed material and the characteristics of the output of a 3D printer. These 3D printers that are used in automotive manufacturing and automotive assembly lines are very hard to configure, and they have many different settings, and it's not clear how each setting impacts the output. So the work we're doing now with BMW, this is an ongoing collaboration, is aimed at configuring neural networks that are going to tell us basically how each parameter is going to affect the output of the 3D printer. We're already getting some interesting results. We're better by 4% on average, and we're continuing the collaboration to complete this work and hopefully publish some results in the future. So this concludes the announcements that we've done over the last 6 months. I want to talk very briefly about our software, and then we're going to go over and have a drink, okay? So with software, we released earlier this year one software tool on chemistry simulations, and we have in beta right now another software tool for machine learning. So I'm going to talk in turn about these 2 software tools. But before I get into the specifics of the tools, I want to share an insight we've had 2 years ago. So as we're talking with our customers about what they need to do in order to get to quantum computing advantage, it occurred to us that most customers are currently using tools and software that is designed to run on CPUs. So they're in fact using this legacy software that has limited capabilities and very little differentiation. And we've been talking to them about how to use quantum computers and how to use QPUs to generate new markets and products and take out competitors. And obviously there's a big gap on this screen, right? It's the GPU. So in fact, we decided 2 years ago to dedicate some resources into building software that's specifically designed to run on the GPUs of today so that we can get the customers on board the GPU, give them something that they can use today in production, and get them on the way to using quantum computers in the future. So in fact, the software we're presenting today is going to be a bridge between GPUs and QPUs of tomorrow. And so this is the name of the product. It's called Promethium. It's used for molecular simulations for pharmaceuticals and materials. And I want to share this insight with you. So a lot of the simulations, a lot of the molecular simulations we do today are very slow, costly, and inefficient. And typically people resort into 2 types of algorithms. They either use these DFT methods that are very accurate, but in fact can only address very small systems. Or they use these force field methods that are fast and can address very large systems, but they're inaccurate. It's like looking at a low-definition picture, basically, of the molecular system you're trying basically to experiment with. With Promethium and with the power of the GPU, we're able to build a DFT code that provides high accuracy and can be expanded to very large systems that capture both, essentially, in this example, the drug and the protein, and can provide results very, very fast. So let me show you a benchmark that we've done recently. And it's important to keep in mind, so the question in this slide is how many DFT calculations can we do in a day? And it's important to keep in mind that drug discovery takes place over many, many years, right? And you want, as a medicinal chemist and as an experimental chemist, to do many, many calculations within a day. So it's a good metric to see how many of these calculations you can do in a single day. So we've looked at several commercial platforms and open source codes, and this is basically how many calculations, how many of these DFT calculations they can execute in a single day. So it's about 300 in the best case scenario. So on a single A100 GPU, we can execute about 3,100 calculations in a single day. So this is a fast performance improvement, and it's a vast advantage that you, as a drug discovery company or a material discovery company, can use to get ahead of the competition. The other interesting thing about Promethium is that we're offering it in a modern software as a service platform. So there is no setup or problems with access. It's all on the web, very easy to access. It's a pay-as-you-go platform. There's no upfront commitment for software costs. There is no upfront commitment for hardware costs. You only pay for the computations that you actually execute. You get access to the best NVIDIA GPUs through the AWS cloud. So today, these are A100s. Very soon, we're going to have the H100 available, or I should say AWS will have the H100 available. And it's very easy to scale up and scale down through the AWS cloud. So let's say you want to submit a batch of 1,000 systems for them to be executed. You can very quickly scale up to multiple GPUs and have many GPUs running at the same time to get you back the results as quickly as possible. The other piece of software we just developed and is currently in beta stage, and we're looking for trial users, is QC-Learn. It's a quantum and quantum-inspired machine learning library that is distilling all the work that we're doing with these several enterprises that I've talked about earlier in my talk. So specifically, QC-Learn is designed for the classical data scientist of today and the quantum computing expert of today that wants to run some quantum computing experiments. It's designed as an enhancement to popular machine learning frameworks like sklearn, PyTorch, and JAX, and it can run on both classical resources, CPUs and GPUs, and provide some advantage today on these resources, and also can run on quantum computing hardware through AWS Braket or through IBM. So under the hood, there are several machine learning methods. I'm not going to go into the details since we're also running out of time, and I don't want to keep you a second longer than I have to. But there are several interesting methods here. Please come to our booth, and we have several of our machine learning experts in place to answer your questions. And there are many more use cases, obviously, than the ones that I talked about. Use cases in predictive analytics, in object classification, customer value, life sciences use cases and diagnostics. I've talked about a lot of them, AdMet properties, and obviously also in finance. And with that, I want to close with a community we've been building. Q2B now has matured, and we're having 3 events around the world. So we just got back, essentially, from Paris. We were there in May, where we did Q2B Paris for the very first year. Which was pretty successful, a little bit smaller than this event, but still 390 attendees at the Q2B Paris show. Obviously, we're going through Q2B Tokyo right now, but we would welcome you to come to California in December for Q2B Santa Clara, which is essentially the Q2B flagship that started it all. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much and welcome you to the reception area for drinks. And we'll start tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thank you very much.